When Walt Disney set out to create Sleeping Beauty in the early 1950s, he faced a creative hurdle. For decades, traditional fairy-tale princes had been criticized as stiff, cardboard cutouts. For Prince Phillip, Walt demanded something entirely different. He needed a hero who was vibrant, someone that critics would describe as the boldest and most masculine of all Disney animation valiants, yet also the best-natured and easygoing. To find a voice capable of carrying that blend of strength and effortless charm, Disney held exhaustive auditions, listening to over 20 of the finest male singers around. He finally found that perfect voice in a handsome, bright-eyed lyric tenor named Bill Shirley. To look at him, it is easy to assume he was just another egotistical opera crooner. But you couldn't be more wrong. Behind that dazzling, matinee idol smile lay one of the most down-to-earth, deeply compassionate, and fiercely independent souls to ever walk through a studio lot. Just like a prince, he lived his entire life with an ability that the Hollywood machine constantly tried to break, and couldn't. Born in Indianapolis on July 6, 1921, Bill was raised in a multi-generational home. His mother, Inez Shirley, was a brilliant concert pianist and a prominent figure in local women's cultural clubs. His father, Luther Shirley, was a deeply respected civic leader and a successful mortician, managing everything from the local Humane Society to the Indiana Board of Embalmers and funeral directors. His maternal grandparents lived under the same roof as the Shirleys, too. When he was around 5 years old, his mother discovered his talent when one day he started singing along to her piano playing. Billy made his official debut as a boy soprano soloist for the Ogden Junior Chorale, standing before vast, crowded audiences at the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in downtown Indianapolis. With his mother accompanying him on the piano, he quickly became the city's most beloved young voice, eagerly sought after to sing for weddings, civic programs, high society gatherings, and everything in between. By the time he was 11, his talent caught national attention. During a family vacation to California in 1932, Billy was introduced to West Coast music impresario L.E. Beheimer and Sid Grauman, the showman behind the Chinese theater. Beheimer openly declared the child's voice to be one of the finest natural, untrained instruments he had ever heard. Grauman was so enchanted that he personally autographed a photograph to Billy, christening him the boy with the golden voice. This Hollywood encounter instantly swept Billy into the famous Meglin Kiddies troupe, the same one responsible for launching the early careers of icons like Shirley Temple and Judy Garland. Suddenly, the boy from Indiana was a registered child actor with major powerhouses like Fox, Paramount, and Columbia Studios. Columbia immediately put his voice to work, casting him in the film as The Devil Commands, where he played one of a group of orphan children singing Christmas carols. The shoot was quite a brutal introduction to the grueling demands of early Hollywood. Dressed in heavy winter topcoats, scarves, and thick galoshes, with water and salt sprinkled over them to simulate freezing winter frost, Billy and 14 other children had to film under blazing, suffocatingly hot Klieg lights in the middle of the warm California climate. The children nearly smothered, requiring 3.5 days of tedious, exhausting retakes just to complete a single short scene. Yet, Billy loved every single minute of it, later proudly pointing out that one of his costumes had originally been tailored for Jackie Coogan. He possessed a delightful, innate stage fearlessness that his kindergarten teacher had noted years prior. Even at 5, Billy was always more afraid of falling off a high stools than he was of the audience. When he returned home, Bill found a rather unusual way to make extra pocket money between theatrical appearances. He sang solos for the grieving families inside his father's pine casket funeral parlor. During a 1953 interview with the Sacramento Union, he looked back on this unique childhood job with his trademark deadpan, off-the-wall humor, dryly confessing, "It was good experience, although a bit solemn at times." This highly unusual upbringing gave Bill a profound, unbreakable perspective on life. Growing up in a funeral home meant he understood the fragile realities of human existence. He didn't scare easily, he valued deep personal connections, and he completely refused to buy into the superficiality of celebrity culture. During his teenage years at Shortridge High School, he was an honor student, a literary club president, and a clever writer for the school newspaper. As his boy soprano voice naturally deepened into a rich, resonant tenor, he continued to dominate the local music scene. He always credited this school as the place that taught him how to work with others, and, in his own words, how to appear calm before an audience when you're scared to death. By the 1940s, his soaring tenor brought him back to Hollywood, where studios were quick to market him as an eligible bachelor type. But behind the image was actually a very devoted guy. During World War II, Bill enlisted in the army, serving across several branches, and fell deeply in love with starlet Jane Withers. Their attachment endured since 1942, built on genuine affection and fully trusted by Inez Shirley, who warmly described her son as balancing two central devotions, his military service and his love for Jane. But in the cold, corporate world of classic Hollywood, a real-life, independent romance could be viewed by studio execs as a major box office liability. So in the summer of 1946, when Bill and Jane's youthful passion reached a point that the studio could no longer control, the corporate machine intervened in ways both aggressive and cruel. They pivoted Jane toward a wealthy suitor, and removed Bill from her life. Choosing dignity over a public mess, Bill went silent in the press for over a year, working non-stop. In January 1947, Bill stepped onto the stage at Monte Prosa's world-famous Copacabana in New York. It was a high-stakes engagement, and despite being secretly racked with intense nerves earlier in the day, Bill delivered a performance that can only be described as a show-stopping triumph. But watching from backstage was an up-and-coming singer named Eddie Fisher, who turned down the gig. When Prosa told Fisher, "See, kid, that could have been you," it ignited something in Fisher. Fisher would later claim in his memoirs that the comment didn't bother him. But his later actions would prove otherwise. In December 1952, Bill, among other celebrities, endured a freezing frontline USO tour to Korea alongside Debbie Reynolds, to bring joy to the shivering American troops. The harsh weather took its toll, and while recovering back home in early 1953, the two young stars checked on each other's health, writing letters and bonding over their shared experience. Once he was well, he took her out to dinner. Out of this mutual concern, a romance began to blossom. They fell hard for each other. Bill didn't even try to act like the detached playboy they wanted him to be. He proudly told the press, "She's wonderful," and reporters who noticed their genuine connection called her the love of his life. Their relationship lasted for nearly 2 years. But Eddie Fisher had been keeping a watchful eye on the media. In June 1954, Fisher and his PR team, aided by the showman Mike Todd and actress Evelyn Keyes, staged a massive, theatrical public engagement stunt at the Coconut Grove. When the media machine swooped in, it effectively stomped out Bill Shirley's presence. The sad climax of this triangle was captured in a photograph taken during a USO tour at Idaho's Mountain Home Air Force Base that December. In the center of the frame, a triumphant Fisher is adjusting an unsure-looking Debbie Reynolds cold-weather gear, playing up his doting suitor persona for the press. In the background of the photograph, uncredited, and UN acknowledged, stands Bill Shirley. Bill made the gentlemanly choice. Refusing to let the world witness his intense pain, or drag the woman he loved into a tabloid circus, he slipped into silence. From December 1954 through April 1955, he vanished from public media's view. He channeled his feelings into the safest public outlet he had, music. Re-emerging in spring 1955, he signed with the newly formed Liberty Records and cut 2 tracks, The Devil's Keeping Busy and Sometime. The songs carry themes of external interference, sabotage, and hope for lonely hearts. He moved to New York in June 1955. He took solace in the theatrical world of Sacramento's music circus rather than Hollywood, often visiting Indianapolis in between. When Sleeping Beauty premiered in 1959, Bill didn't boast about his role. Instead, he enthusiastically explained the complex artistry of the animation process. He talked about how much he liked the cartoon horse, Samson, and thought Disney could make him another Pluto. When asked what he would do next, he admitted that his ultimate goal was heading back to Indiana soon, to go fishing with his dad. Off-camera, Bill lived a life of pure, active, relational compassion, carrying on the civic legacy of his parents. He threw his entire presence into the spaces of the forgotten, the marginalized, and the misunderstood. Everybody, from sick children and veterans, to inmates at Folsom Prison. Remarkably, as a leader in actors' equity, He chaired the committee that legally ended segregation in American theaters by June 1962, dismantling theatrical Jim Crow before the Civil Rights Act even passed. No matter what, Bill Shirley showed the world what good hearts are capable of, proving that, in many ways, he was a real-life Disney prince,